Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're diving into a world where happiness is a pill and babies are made in test tubes. That's right, we're tackling Aldous Huxley's Brave New World.
Get ready for a wild ride. We're talking designer babies, mood-altering drugs, and a whole lot of Shakespeare.
Before we get too far, can you remind us when this book came out? It feels
Yeah.
super relevant even now, but wasn't it written like 100 years ago?
1932, can you believe that? Huxley was writing about things like genetic engineering and sleep learning way before their time. It's kind of eerie how much he got right.
It really makes you think. Like, are we living in a brave new world already? For this deep dive, we're looking at excerpts from the Brave New World Wikipedia page.
So picture this, it's the future, and everyone's obsessed with stability and happiness. But here's the catch. Individuality. Freedom. Yeah, those are things of the past.
How do they even make a society like that work? It sounds completely bonkers.
They control everything from birth. Literally. No more families, no more natural births. Babies are grown in labs and divided into these rigid social classes like alphas, betas, gammas, all designed for specific roles.
So they're like pre-programmed robots, basically.
Pretty much. And to make sure everyone stays in line, they use something called hypnopedia, which is basically brainwashing while they sleep.
Like subliminal messaging on steroids. It's crazy how he predicted that kind of stuff.
Oh, and don't forget the soma. Imagine a drug that just wipes away all your negative emotions. Feeling down.
Yeah.
Pop a soma. Stressed. Soma's got you covered.
Sounds a little too easy, doesn't it? Makes you wonder if we're already addicted to our own versions of Soma today. But even in this perfect world, not everyone's buying it, right? That's where Bernard Marx comes in.
Exactly. Bernard's an alpha plus at the top of the social pecking order, but he's still miserable. He sees right through the world state's facade.
It's like he's got this itch for something more, something real.
And that's what makes him such an outsider. He craves genuine connection in a world that celebrates casual sex and instant gratification. It's almost as if a part of him yearns for something more meaningful.
And that's interesting because even Lenina Crown, who seems to perfectly embody the world state's values, even she feels drawn to Bernard's unconventionality.
You know, their relationship is this fascinating contradiction. Even with all the conditioning, all the efforts to control their emotions, there's still a flicker of individuality.
This is where their trip outside the world state comes in, right?
Yeah.
To the Savage Reservation. That's where they meet John.
Yeah. John the Savage. He's like a walking example of everything the world state tries to eliminate.
Everything they're afraid of.
Basically, he grew up on Shakespeare. Imagine that. So he knows all about love, loss, jealousy, all those messy emotions the world state wants to erase.
Makes you wonder how he even ended up there.
Yeah.
In the reservation.
Well, it turns out there's a pretty crazy story behind it. Remember how everyone in the world state is artificially conceived. John's mother, Linda, she was actually from the world state, a beta, but she got stuck on the reservation after some kind of accident.
Wow. That's a huge deal, right? I mean, in a world where natural birth is like a taboo.
It throws a wrench into everything. John's very existence challenges the world state's whole foundation.
And then there's his reaction to his mother's death. Talk about a reality check for the world state.
Right. He actually grieves. He lets himself feel the full weight of his loss, which is totally alien to them.
They condition the kids to practically celebrate death.
Exactly. Death is just another part of the cycle. No big deal. Anything to avoid unpleasant emotions.
But John's grief, his ability to love, to get angry, it shows how empty the world state's happiness really is.
It makes you think, what's the point of living without pain if you never truly feel joy either?
It's like they're missing out on the whole point of being human.
And you know what's interesting? Bernard and Helmholtz, they get it too. Especially Helmholtz. Remember how he's a writer?
Yeah, he's always felt stifled by the world state.
He sees how limited art and expression are in their society, so they're all kind of searching for something real in this artificial world.
So they're like these little cracks in the world state's perfect facade.
Exactly. And eventually, all those cracks lead them to Mustafa Mond.
The world controller. That's a meeting you don't want to miss. He's like the puppet master behind it all.
Right. He's the one who understands the sacrifices they've made for this so-called stability, and he's willing to defend them, even if it means getting rid of art, knowledge, even love.
So what's his deal? Is he just heartless?
It's weird. He's not entirely heartless. He keeps a secret stash of banned books, Shakespeare, poetry, all the things he considers too dangerous for everyone else.
Yeah, cheating.
Nope. He even admits to John that the world state is built on a lie.
A calculated lie. It's giving major 1984 vibes, you know?
Totally. It's all about control through information, just like in Orwell's book. Mond knows their version of happiness is fake. It's designed to keep things running smoothly, to prevent chaos.
So basically they've chosen stability over truth.
It seems that way, right? And Mond thinks it's a small price to pay to avoid going back to a more primitive, dangerous world. But it makes you wonder, how much are we willing to give up for a comfortable life? Our freedom, our individuality? It's a question that feels super relevant today, don't we think, with all the technology and social media controlling our lives?
Absolutely. And obviously, John's not okay with any of this. He'd rather face the real world with all its problems than live in this artificial paradise.
And that's what leads to that whole scene at the hospital where John tries to shake the deltas out of their soma-induced haze.
Yeah, he tries to get them to see what's really going on, but it backfires spectacularly.
It's kind of sad, actually. They're so brainwashed that they think he's the crazy one.
And that's what gets him into even more trouble, right?
Yeah, they decide he's too dangerous and refuse to let him go to the islands with Bernard and Helmholtz.
Even though they were the ones who brought him back to the world state in the first place.
It's ironic, isn't it? John ends up seeking refuge in a lighthouse, all alone, trying to find some peace in a world that hates solitude.
Talk about being stuck between a rock and a hard place. He tries to escape the world state, and they turn him into a sideshow.
It's like they can't help but exploit anything real, anything authentic, even tragedy.
It's like our obsession with reality TV, isn't it?
Yeah.
We crave that glimpse into other people's lives, especially when it's messy or dramatic.
Yeah.
Huxley really hit the nail on the head with that one.
And of course, you've got someone like Darwin Bonaparte who sees a money-making opportunity in all of this.
Bonaparte. He gives me the creeps, using John's pain to make a quick buck.
He's like the embodiment of everything wrong with the media.
Totally. And in the end, it's just too much for John to handle. The constant scrutiny, the pressure, and then there's Lenina.
It's that final straw, isn't it? He can't escape the world state's influence, even in his isolation, his suicide. It's a tragic end, but in a way, it feels like his only way out.
It's heartbreaking. But it really makes you think, what happens when we lose sight of what it means to be human? To feel the full range of emotions, even the painful ones.
It's like Huxley is warning us, isn't he? Be careful what you wish for. Because a world without pain might also be a world without joy, without love, without meaning.
A chilling thought. And it all comes back to that title, Brave New World. It's supposed to be this optimistic phrase, but in Huxley's hands, it becomes something else entirely.
It's like he's saying, open your eyes, people. This is what happens when we sacrifice everything at the altar of happiness and stability.
It's a message that feels more relevant than ever. We're so plugged in, so obsessed with comfort and convenience. Are we losing ourselves in the process?
It's a question worth pondering, and I think that's the brilliance of Brave New World. It's not just a dystopian novel, it's a mirror reflecting our own anxieties, our own desires, and the potential consequences of our choices.
So to everyone listening, the next time you reach for your phone to escape reality or pop a pill to numb out the rough edges, remember John, remember his struggle, his humanity, and ask yourself, am I living in a world where genuine emotion is still valued? Or am I slowly becoming a cog in a machine, just like the citizens of Brave New World?
Those are questions we all need to grapple with, and that's what a deep dive is all about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Challenging our assumptions, exploring uncomfortable truths, and embracing the complexity of the human experience.
Well said. That's all the time we have for today's deep dive into the world of Brave New World. If you want to learn more, be sure to check out the Brave New World Wikipedia page. Until next time, happy diving.